is the recording.
That's what I said everybody, but I was
Yeah.
trying to sort that.
Right.
I don't know.
So, first off, like, for the sake of not being rude, you probably shouldn't be working on your stuff while I'm talking up here. But don't worry, I'm not calling you rude. I'm just saying, like, I'm gonna have some important information for you. And I think it's probably best that you save working on your homework for lab time. And don't worry, most of class today is gonna be that. I promise. Now, I wanted to make sure that you had everything that you needed to fully understand what's going to be happening over the next few weeks for our final. Now, that's basically all you have left. I mean, aside from maybe any makeup work or late work that you need to do. So let's talk about that first. You have until week 11, Thursday at 10 p.m. to submit any late work or resubmissions. You have time. It's week 8. So you still have 9 and 10 as you work on your final. Now, context there. When it comes to your homework, right, it's a lot more appropriate for me to help you through some of the problems or the challenges as you're learning some of the outcomes that I'm trying to teach you. So if you work with me on our office hours or in lab time and you've got these questions and some of the materials that I have for you aren't working for you and we kind of work one-on-one, that is absolutely fine for all of those homework assignments. It is not fine that I do that for your final outside of the scope of what I've taught you already, right? The final is supposed to be an assessment of what you were taking away from our class. Kind of like a test, except I don't time box you and you don't have to come on in and do it within a certain thing and have a proctor and timer and make sure you're not cheating, that kind of thing. I don't really like that model to begin with. But the point of the final is that you are challenging yourself to solve the problems with the tools I gave you. So it's important for me to back off of helping you with the final. However, some of you are tackling some stuff that's outside of the scope of what we learned in class. So assuming you're using more powerful tools than extrude and bevel, say like Boolean or Quadra, right? Then that makes sense for me to kind of show you some more powerful tools that's available in Maya. I want to encourage you to ask if you're unsure. Ask me anyway, and I will inform you if that's something that I have to kind of like, you have to solve this part on your own, but I don't want you to feel like attacked. Or if this is sort of like a bigger tool that you're asking about, then I can show you some new stuff, right? Okay, so please ask, but be ready to really kind of fly, baby bird. You're doing it. All right, so I'll do my best to remind you when those days are coming up, right? March 20th is that day, Thursday at 10 p.m. And that is pretty hard cutoff right there. After that, I'm not taking any more later. But you can resubmit as much as you need to improve your grade up to that point. So if you have anything that has a grade that you didn't like and it was turned in on time, you can redo it before then too. Okay, any questions? Yay! Next up, we're going to start shifting because now that we are working on our final, my entire focus is to prop you up on a solid portfolio piece for a 3D model. Now, I will encourage you to use ArtStation for those that are serious about 3D modeling. You do not have to for this final because there are many people here who are just not really pursuing the 3D path. But for those of you that are, highly, highly recommend that you use ArtStation. Now, instead of daily check-ins, we're going to have final check-ins moving forward. And it's going to be the same post that you will be updating every day that we're together, right? It'll work the same in that you will be posting progress or prompts that I ask you to post about your final every day that we're together. However, what you're not going to do is post a new post every time. You are going to start a thread and all of your stuff is going to be all nestled in your threaded replies. And we're going to do this publicly so you can see what other students are working on, their challenges, and what they're building. We good on that?
When you say final check-in, you mean like final project check-in?
Final project check-in, not the last check-in. Final check-in, the final. Let me see, final project. I'll put that in here. That's much better. Project check-ins. How about that? Weeks 8 through 11. Now, I've gone ahead and posted what each prompt will be. So for those of you that are fast,
you can go ahead and just post when you come across this. That is fine. You will get blocked a little bit when we come down to week 10 Tuesday for feedback, because I will have you submit some geometry for that so that I can give you feedback and record it. Basically what you will do for today, right? You are going to post your references for your post. Every day that you post moving forward, you will reply to yourself as you just see the progress and progression of your final. This way you have a place where it all exists. And that way, when I'm asking for it for your final post on the site, you can access it here. You no longer have to worry of oh, I don't know, I didn't take progress shots. I didn't. Yeah, you did. Because I made you right here. So today, what I'll need you to do is you are going to be posting your references of what you're going to model. So for some of you, that means you have to solidify your answer of what you're modeling. For those of you that have already decided, you're going to post what you shared with me here, but in addition, additional references. You're used to working off of one reference, and we're gonna push a little harder on that now. If it is a real product like a lamp or a chair, you should have product specs that you can use for that. I call those object references, the references of what it is that you're modeling. But there's also material and color references, meaning I want you to find references of the same fabrics or materials that you'll want to be using on those meshes as well. Now, sometimes, especially if you're working with illustration like concept art, there will be parts of the mesh that are not defined. Like maybe you have a strap on a backpack that is on a birdhouse and we don't know how it's going to be put on there. So what I want you to do is either illustrate it yourself or find another construction of the same type of materials. Like show me a bolt of fabric going into wood there so we can see what it looks like. So this is what the practice of finding references does for you. It's designed to make your job easier as a modeler and eventually for the materials. So I'll want to see what you pull for references. Having one is not typically appropriate. If you have just one, try harder. I think 3 to 5 is pretty normal for beginners. Myself, I'll usually have 3 to 5 of the object, 2 to 3 of the material and color, and depending on what needs to be defined, maybe 5 to 10 more of the construction of it. And I have visual boards of the things that I'm modeling. That's common. Now, again, I'm not going to max you out, but you should have a minimum of 3 to 5. That's where, cool? Okay. So that's what you're going to do today. And I've made those notes for you. Now, keep in mind, this is your last assignment. For some of you, you guys will be able to walk right through this in maybe a week or 2. You do that, when you're done with the class, I'll grade it, make sure that you have all your final grades set up and high five, and I'll send you on your merry way. For many of you, you'll need every day with me, and I appreciate that. So this is really kind of a timeline for you to try to follow along. If you get ahead, wonderful. If you're on track, you're a little behind, don't worry. That's what we're here for, here to support you. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions on this. Okay, no class on Tuesday next week, by the way, because the school,
Yeah.
because the school said.
Don't go to any of the classes.
Don't go to any of your classes. It's not just me. Okay. Now, for what it is that you're actually submitting for your final, right? That is mostly what we're going to do, a little bit of check-in every day. And I believe that this is what you have burning in your curiosity, like what do we have to do? There is one lesson I still have to teach you. It's like a 15-minute demo. It is not that long, but it is the piece that you won't know about the submission requirement. So don't worry, we'll get to that on week 10? Not next week, but the following week, when you're closer to needing to do it. So let's talk about the final assignment. Now, the portfolio post. This is the big one. This is the big scary one, okay? Recommended sites listed up here. Don't require you to use one or the other, but recommended ArtStation at the top. You're going to post your objects, what you've created, what you've modeled. You will post at least one reference of that. of object references and a description of what it is. If you are using a concept art, follow up with who the artist is. Link them to their portfolio sites. Be kind to the people you work with. This is actually very common practice. Most 3D modelers do not model their own concepts. They are modeling concept work of other artists, and concept artists are senior artists. They're different skill sets. You're not expected to do both. If you want to do both, that's really cool, but most 3D modelers do not make their own concepts. What you're showing is your ability to remain faithful to the design. So you want to make sure that you're uplifting the other artists that are inspiring you and that you're pulling reference from. If you're using a product, share where you got the product from, like the owner of those products, like the chair or the lamp. And if you did your own concept, make sure you say that, but no one here should have been doing that. That is a little too senior for this class. Okay. Now you're going to share your final renders. Now you will want to show turnaround of your final renders. A front, a side, and a perspective is great. You can embellish that if you'd like. And at least 1 to 3 beauty shots, your favorite like angles of it, okay? You're gonna share a Sketchfab import of your turnaround. I will show you how to do that. Don't worry, this is like a 15-minute thing. No big deal. Okay? Process images. Show progress of your meshes and show challenge. Describe like what you learned from this and like what you had struggled with and what you found particularly challenging. Just like 1 or 2 shots for the progress shot is fine. Software. Now, this is actually quite easy if you're doing an ArtStation, because ArtStation, you just click and tag it with whatever software you use. You really don't have to do much more than that when you set up a post. But if you're using any of the other sites, you'll want to list the software that you used for this. And I wanted to give me a personal take on your post. I wanted you to tell me why you did this mesh. And yeah, the answer could be like, I had to do this from a stupid school assignment because the stupid teacher made me do a stupid thing. That is fine, absolutely. But really what you want to keep in mind with this personal take is that this tells me if I want to work with you. This tells me like how you kind of approach these problems. And this is kind of a people skills thing here. I'm certainly not going to mark you down if you're like, just sucked, I hated it. I totally understand. And we're not like kind of elevating to that professional space just yet. Like I completely appreciate honesty. But for future you, remember that like all of the technical skills will get you the interview, you know, but like what kind of gets you the job is your ability to solve the problems and make their jobs easier and be someone that people want to work with. So this is kind of a great space to kind of have some of your voice. I don't tell you like what to say exactly. You know, you can share with me, like, did you have fun? Did you hate this? Did you struggle? How did you feel when you completed it? These are just some prompts, but I'll let you say whatever you want to say here. But I want to hear your voice. I want to hear you, a little bit of you splashing. And this post really for your submission is you're giving me your link, the live link. This right here, you're sending me the link to your site and I can click on it and see it. So if you have a Google Sites or if you have a Wix or anything, just make sure that it's public enough for me to see it and that you don't need to make it unprivate. That did happen where students will send me sites and I can't see it because it's private. So just make sure that you effectively control your permissions there when you do the post. Now, down here is a list of what I'm looking for your portfolio post. Are you showing high poly and low poly bakes successfully? Are you showing that? Are you demonstrating that skill? Are you showing appropriate materials for your model? Appropriate means wood looks like wood, metal looks like metal. This is not a time or space where you use materials that are made up for everyday objects. It's not to say though that there aren't fantastical materials. Glowing green ooze, lava eyeballs, I don't know, things like that. But I should see glowing green ooze and think that's glowing green ooze. I'm not sure what that is. It needs to represent what it's intending to. Demonstrate a poly count. Now you can share this, like write it in. You can have it on a graphic of one of your images, but I'm looking to see that you're able to follow a poly limit. Now, when you post today what you're modeling, I'm going to give you your poly budget. Everybody will have their own budget. And high resolution rendered posts. Are you giving me screenshots? No, for work in progress stuff, absolutely. Beauty shots? No, they should be high resolution. You should be considerate of how you stage them. You should be considerate of how they feel. This is representing you as your brand, as what you're capable of. So I'm looking for high resolution rendered posts. This is what I'm kind of looking for grading. This is everything you need to check off the boxes. Any questions? You have like 3 weeks. It's not all gotta be done today. That's a little overwhelming. Okay. All right. I do have a mesh submission. This is just for a few points. You will give me your high poly, your low poly, and your substance data file. But that's on the back end. You just kind of give that to me later. If you did the portfolio post, this part's easy. Just give me what your working file. Okay? All right. Wonderful, wonderful. On that note, I'm gonna leave most of the rest of class for you to work on these challenges you have in front of you. Remember what I really need from you today, and that's so that I can verify your poly limit and that you're within scope, is your references. Okay? So you'll have a conversation with me at some point today. Everybody here should. I'll come around and say hello, okay? All right. All right, now I leave you for the rest of class to go ahead and work on whatever's in front of you. I know you have a burning desire to do so.